G'day YouTubers, Ads here, and today we are going to settle some debates once and for all. No, probably not actually. We're going to raise a whole bunch of new debates. We're here to talk about the greatest NBA players of all time. Now, my friend Andrew the Punter Lewis has a podcast called It Should Go Without Saying, and he had Dan Shea and myself join him on the most recent episode so we could draft our all-time NBA squad. This is where it gets interesting. We're actually going to upload those rosters to NBA 2K20. And over a 3-week period, we're going to play 3 games a week live on Twitch. Link to my Twitch channel where they'll be live streamed in the description down below. We're going to stream 3 games a week. We are going to settle the debates once and for all. We are going to run live polls in the chat. We are going to discuss matchups. We are going to see the likes of Jerry West versus Stephen Curry. This is going to be a monster experiment. If it all goes well, we might run some different simulations in the future. How else can you be involved? Well, we'd love to know who you think has constructed the best team. So please, in the comments down below, let us know, who do you think has the best team? Is it the Punter? Is it myself, Ads? Or is it Dan the Man? We'd love to hear some feedback as well as to who you would have picked. Are there any players we kind of overlooked and we didn't really consider because of other players in that position? A lot of debates that hopefully will get settled, but I think the GOAT debates are going to get wild, as well as who was the best power forward, who's the best center. How would the likes of Bill Russell go up against Hakeem Olajuwon? There's so many questions here, and we're gonna experiment and we're gonna simulate our way through this journey. So if you do like the video, please give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. But without further ado, let's check out the podcast. It should go without saying.
Hi everyone, and welcome to a very special multimedia edition of the podcast, It Should Go Without Saying. I'm your host, Andrew Lewis, otherwise known as Punter, and today on the podcast, in your ears, but also on the internet, on video, we've got something great for you. We've been waiting for this for a long time, but with the dearth of content that's going on in the NBA, me and a couple of mates, old friends who love the NBA, have decided to do a draft, an all-time draft, a snake draft to try and find the 3 teams, the best 36 players ever, create a team, and then we'll tell you what we're going to do with those teams at the end of the podcast. But first, I want to introduce and say thank you to Adam Amy, who is hosting this video on his Twitch channel. So I'll throw over to Adam to explain. How you doing, Adam?
Pretty good. Initially we're not going to be this pod's not going up on Twitch. This is going to go up on YouTube, as will all of the simulated games. It's we are going to stream it live on Twitch though. The actual simulated games that we've come up with, the teams. We are This is an experiment that I think could be a good way to fill in, especially with that isolation vibe right now.
We're going to settle arguments, or we're going to start them, Adam?
I think we're going to do a little bit of both. And there will always be arguments within the arguments, unless you actually get a time machine and get these players together. But this is a good way to get that discussion to happen. Excellent.
Now, those of you who have been following the podcast have heard Adam and I talk about the NBA, mostly about the Lakers, at Adam's insistence. But we've got a third member of the team today, our resident Minnesota Timberwolves fan, Kevin Garnett's stan, Daniel Shea. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm very well, thanks, Andrew.
Welcome to the podcast. You excited?
Very, and slightly lost. I haven't done one of these before, so looking forward to it.
It is going to be excellent. Now, for those of you listening at home, watching at home, here are the rules of what we're going to do. It's a snake draft, which means that we'll go 1, 2, 3 in order and then reverse the order for the next round. Each one of us has to draft 12 players. 5 guards, 5 forwards, and 2 centers, so a bit traditional in that regard. And also, as an added wrinkle, you have to pick a player who played in every decade, as in there has to be at least one player on your team who played the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. Considering no one's really played in the 2000s and 20s, we didn't include that, but I'm sure we would be able to cover that anyway. So,
look, I think I've got it covered.
You've got it covered? Now, by virtue of a random ballot draw, the draft order will go Adam first, then Daniel, then me, and then, of course, then because we reversed the draft, then it's me, so I'll do 2 picks. So I'll have the first pick in the second round, then Daniel, then Adam. So for most of the time, Adam and I will be picking 2 picks back to back, with Daniel picking a pick in the middle, but he has twice as many turns. You'll figure it out. So
yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
So we're ready to go. We've done all our preparation. We're going to pick these teams.
Hang on a sec. Did you say preparation?
Yeah. You haven't done any preparation? I mean, at the very least, have you watched any of The Last Dance?
Next question.
Oh, he hasn't.
I plan on binge watching The Last Dance. Not that I've had a shortage of not spoilers, because there's no such thing as spoilers these days.
Daniel, make sure you don't tell him who won the 91 finals, because the Lakers look good that year.
Yeah,
fair enough. So we're gonna get straight into it.
All right. I will.
I'm Adam Silver. I didn't even shave my head. With some, I know it's like playing Monopoly, and I'm the banker, and I'm also playing. With the number 1 pick in the NBA all-time, it should go without saying, draft. Adam Amy selects
Kobe Bryant. Oh wait, no. I wanted to. You don't know how badly I wanted to do this. I did not select Kobe Bryant. I'm typing these in as we go.
Okay, so if you're watching this on the video, these will be coming up on the screen, so you can refer to them.
Well, Kobe Bryant's already up on the screen.
He is.
Everyone predicted that I was going to pick Kobe, but no. Number 1 pick is, of course, the one, the only, not the one from Black Panther, Michael B. No, Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Yes.
Now,
that does not settle the GOAT debate. That's enough.
I think it settles it. Now, we're all born within like 10 months of each other in the very early 80s. We all grew up watching basketball in the late 80s and early 90s, and right throughout the 1990s. Tell us a bit about what Michael Jordan meant to you in terms of a formative fan of basketball in the NBA.
As far as being someone that you look up to when you're growing up and learning a sport, it's synonymous. Jordan was everything that basketball was in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. There's not a whole lot more to it, but my teenage years were filled with Michael Jordan. That said, I was more of a Scottie Pippen fan when people talked about the Bulls winning titles, but maybe I have seen The Last Dance. I don't know.
Maybe you have.
No. But yes, Michael Jordan is definitely number 1 pick. Shooting guard, which is frustrating, and I've already got things going through my brain as to how that 2 spot is gonna work, because there's another shooting guard that I obviously want.
Hey,
but I'm probably going to get sniped. There's 3 more picks, and if he is the other greatest player of all time, then Kobe might not be there when it gets back to me. 4 more picks.
Maybe not. There was a part of the time in the 95-96 season when MJ, there was a period there where they ran out a starting lineup of Jordan, Pippen, Kukoc, Rodman, Longley. They were playing Jordan and Pippen at guard beside each other. So it's not like Jordan can't play with another wing.
Yes, true. Very true. Very true.
And you can move the spots. Okay, Michael Jordan, unsurprisingly, maybe a little bit surprisingly considering who was picking number 1. I mean, the random selection was basically, let's give Adam the pick because you'll pick Kobe.
Now I see how it works.
With the number 2 pick, Daniel selects
King James.
LeBron James.
The other guy in all those debates at the moment.
First Laker taken, Adam.
Yes, first Laker taken. That'll be an interesting analysis to make once we get to break these teams down. How many Lakers are actually taken? Might settle the who's better, the Lakers or the Celtics.
It might, team versus team of champions, champion team. Anyway, LeBron, obviously a more recent star, started in the NBA at 18 years of age, 8 straight NBA finals, 3 championships. Do you have any special LeBron memories?
I think I remember being just really impressed. Like that season when they came back from the 3-1. When LeBron has actually said that's when he believed he became the GOAT. I think he's a very special player. I think actually that unlike Michael, he didn't enter the league with that kind of winning, that killer instinct. I think he had to kind of earn that over time. He had that failure early on, and I think it hardened him. I think a lot of talking heads have kind of discussed that a lot on ESPN and elsewhere. But he's just been so consistently good since that time. I mean, we're talking about him as 1 or 2 in the MVP in this current interrupted season, and he's in his 17th year. Like, it's just amazing.
And he's leading the league in assists.
I think, because I guess the big argument, the thing that comes up every time they talk about, MJ versus LeBron in the current, I guess, crop of GOAT debates is peak versus consistency and longevity. And that's really that's really something he's got going for him. He's just been consistently great for a really long time, and stuck with it. And he can do everything. He's just really good. I mean, particularly, I've been rewatching some of these older playoff games because there are no new ones, and even his defense on some of those Miami teams was just amazing. So yeah, I mean, there's not a lot more to say, really. I think he's just a fantastic player.
The thing I find that he shares with Michael Jordan is an ability to identify the holes in his game and then to turn them into strengths. Michael Jordan came in the league as this athletic guy, dunks, all this sort of stuff, a good jump shooter, but, catch and shoot jump shooter, and develop the turnaround, the post-up game and all that sort of thing. And LeBron's done the same thing. Certainly not a very good shooter when he came into the league, and now, a good to great range shooter. So, and averaging the league in assists this year, leading the league in assists this year has been an incredible effort.
Well, the thing that he seems to be doing at the moment with his shot, I mean, just over the last 2 seasons, his range has expanded. Like he's those really long range threes that
like against Philly when he pulled up inside the center circle and
those really long range shots that we tend to associate with Curry and Lillard. Like he's taking and making those now. So yeah,
very good. LeBron is off the board at number 2.
So I'll start typing Kobe, right?
That seems to be the conventional thinking about who the greatest 2 NBA players of all time are. I've got the next 2 picks. So,
all right. So you're taking Kobe and
I'm taking a Celtic with my first of my picks, the pick 3, and that is the greatest winner who ever played a team game ever.
I was going to make a Kyrie joke.
No, that is Bill Russell.
Bill Russell
won 11 titles in 13 years. He won his first title in the same 12-month span as he won an Olympic gold medal and the second of his 2 college championships. The only 2 years he didn't win the championship in his entire NBA career was in his second season when he rolled his ankle and St. Louis beat them in 7 games. Game 7 was a double overtime Game 7, where I think one of the games St. Louis almost won the game on a design play where they had the ball at the other baseline and the play was to throw the ball 94 feet into the backboard straight to Bob Pettit. And it worked right up until Bob Pettit missed the shot. The other one he lost was the year that Wilt went crazy and the Sixers went 68-13. Bill Russell was his first year as playing coach. He didn't know what he was doing. Every other year he won. He's the greatest teammate of all time. He wrote in his book that he was committed to winning by making his teammates better. And he would be the start of everything defensively we want to do. I don't think there's any with the pot. We knew that he handled Wilt in his pomp. There's only 2 centers where I think he'd have a problem defending them historically, and that'd be one Pete Kareem, and pretty much Russell retired as soon as Kareem came into the league, and the other would be peak Shaq, like 2000 Shaq.
Yeah.
They're the only 2 centers I would worry about in the history of the game that Russell could defend. But his help defense and everything that would be perfect. So Bill Russell, if I had the number 1 pick, I would have seriously considered taking Russell above everybody who's ever played the game.
Wow. See, there's just one glaring downside in my eyes, and that's he played for the Boston Celtics. There's so many brownie points taken away.
Okay, do I get brownie points back for my next pick?
Okay, you're about to take the second.
My next pick is the greatest point guard of all time, Earvin Magic Johnson.
Yes, okay. He took the second greatest Laker of all time.
By his own admission.
This is true.
He's named someone else as the greatest Laker of all time.
Still on my draft board.
So many different phases of Magic's career. The most impressive thing from Magic's career, from my point of view, is how he, we look at someone like Chris Webber, who missed the opportunity to be clutch early in his career and never ever got that app installed. So by the time he was playing for championships, he just wanted no part of the big moment. Magic Johnson.
Is that called the Clutch app?
Yeah. Magic Johnson, I think in his second season got swept. First time he played the Celtics in the NBA Finals, he made a couple of blunders in a couple of games. However, he just worked on it, and the last 2, particularly '87 championship against the Celtics, he was awesome. Encompassed by the baby skyhook that won the game in Boston Garden, made an incredible performance. He became, he transformed himself right throughout his career. He is, and there'll never ever be another Magic.
Nope.
In the lead up to this, so, I mean, as I say, I've been watching some old games, particularly I started following the NBA later than both of you guys because I wasn't following regularly until the 96-97 season. My first rookie class was Kobe's rookie class. So I went back and I was watching some old games. In particular, I was watching some games from the 91 finals. And I had actually just not realized how good a post player Magic was. He was doing whatever he wanted down there against MJ. It was just an amazing series. And I think, everyone knows about the passing, the versatility, but he just had really good kind of post footwork, and he was so strong. Like, he had such a strong lower body that he could kind of get in hold position against really good players down there. So, yeah.
Yep.
And again, I mean, it's a common theme with the players so far that we've selected. A developed skill. Didn't come into the league as a post player necessarily, and develop that skill to take advantage of smaller defenders. So, in a way, LeBron.
Agreed.
So I'm very happy with my bookends. Bill Russell on the pivot, Magic running the show. Pick 5 is Daniels. So over to you, big fella.
Well, speaking of great Lakers, I'm very happy to have heard you say that you thought Bill Russell might have struggled with my pick, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem.
All time.
At least the greatest Laker of all time has not been picked. She's going to give me an
Caruso.
opportunity.
It's okay. We'll get to Alex Caruso. It's fine.
Yeah, I think you probably have
He's
the
on
next
my board.
pick. Yes. But yeah, no. I mean, what can be said about Kareem? Again, this is maybe becoming a bit of a trend for me. Long career, very consistent performer. His peak was just off the charts. Great two-way player, unguardable, particularly in his prime. To the point where, didn't they make dunks illegal when he was in college just to slow him down?
Yeah,
I think they changed a lot of rules to try and,
Which is why he had to develop his most unguardable move, the skyhook. Because I was such a latecomer to basketball, but an early fan of martial arts. Actually, my first encounter with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in a Bruce Lee movie. When he plays
wow.
one of the victims in Tower.
and he was in Airplane. So there's
And that too. Yeah, I saw that before I watched an NBA game as well.
Another format where he outshone Wilt. Wilt was in Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
Well, that's going to be...
Kareem won Finals MVP awards 14 years apart. He won the Finals MVP in 71 and 1985.
Yes.
That is insane.
His first and last chips were 17 years apart, weren't they? Something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insane. It's actually... People speak about careers and, will they make it through? It's year 14 and 15. Like at the moment, what is it, 16 for LeBron? It's like, in season 16. And it's like, well, Kareem was doing it all.
Yeah.
He also did it after, I think, a 4-year college career. He didn't come out early.
No, it didn't do the high school thing, yeah.
Yeah, so, he retired well into his 40s. So...
Yeah, they don't make him like that anymore. That's the downside of it all.
No. So, Adam, you have 2 picks coming up. Pick 6 and 7.
All right.
Okay.
So.
You have the floor.
I have the floor. I don't think it's any secret who I really wanted to take at the number 1 spot. I don't think it's a secret. So with my second pick, what is it? What is it? Pick 6?
Yep.
I am going to take one of the greatest scorers in the history of the game. In fact, the highest scorer ever in basketball history. I'm taking Wilt Chamberlain because I also have the following pick. With which I'll take Kobe Bryant, of course. So 2 great Lakers. All players have something in common to link them. Obviously, Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, very similar in play styles. Kobe Bryant and Wilt Chamberlain, very similar in scoring feats. 81 points and 100 points. At the moment, I think I've got it for firepower. But I'm not going to go too deep into my selections. And anyone that's watching the YouTube video, yes, I put Kobe Bryant as my second pick because that would be silly if I actually picked Wilt before Kobe.
Fair enough. Are you running the triangle?
We don't know what we're running yet. We don't know. We don't know what coaches are available. We don't know what playbooks are available. If it was an actual game that we're playing, I would have been on the phone to Phil. We would have been trying to hook a few things up, but I don't know. Maybe we go for something a bit more modern and a bit more balanced. Space the floor and look for those those two dominant scorers.
Fair enough. Or
But
you
yes.
get Phil on the phone, you tell him you got Wilt, and he'd be like, yeah, I'm going to start Bill Weddington.
He'd get him to carry the ball bags in and get the boys warmed up and tape up their ankles and what.
Wilt did average 50 and 25 in a season, where he averaged...
And it was no slouch.
More amazingly, that season he averaged 48.7 minutes per game. Now, for those of you playing at home, we realise that an NBA basketball game has 48 minutes in it. We'll play every minute that season,
including OT.
Overtimes, yeah. So
yeah, we've got. So that means that we've got, two of the greatest guards of all time, and a center that can run all day, literally.
Is there anything you wanted to say about Kobe that hasn't been said?
No. I think I'll leave it. Everybody knows how I feel about the Mamba, and I'm not getting emotional on this podcast, but certainly missing the Mamba, and at least we'll get to see him take the court in this simulation.
Absolutely. I think there'll be later opportunities for Daniel and I to take our favourite players of all time. Just to throw some, typical shade on your pick.
Yep.
You Wilt average 50 and 25. Bill Russell won the MVP. Daniel, it's pick 8, so it's over to you.
Okay. I guess I will continue this trend of long-term achievers. I'm going to take Mr. Consistent, the big fundamental, Tim Duncan.
Timmy!
Again, I guess probably not the sexiest pick, but he was just so good and so consistent.
Popovich thinks he's a sexy pick. He picked him as an assistant coach now.
Oh yeah, have you seen his new hair?
Oh yeah.
That's the most exciting thing about Tim Duncan ever.
That's what I'm trying to do right now.
Swag.
What can you say? Timmy, nothing rattled him. I remember seeing an interview with Shaq about how, I think Shaq's term for it is when he's trying to talk about, physically dominating people in games, intimidating them, etc. He refers to it as touching them up. And he talked about how he kept trying to rattle Tim Duncan as a rookie and just couldn't do it. But just that level of excellence he maintained over such a long time, and he was the pivot of that team, even when it still had the Admiral David Robinson on it. He was just an amazing anchor for that Spurs team for such a long time.
And one of the all-time great Game 7 performances, Game 7 of the 2003 NBA Finals, I think he was 21 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, 8 blocks.
Very close to that elusive quadruple double.
In a Game 7 of the NBA Finals? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. He's not gonna jump 50 inches in the air as Wilt is reputed to have been able to do.
All the other things.
Sorry?
Replays will show.
All the other things Wilt is reported to have done.
But he was just so good for such a long time. And really, he hadn't even really lost it by the time he retired. But such a good player. Yep.
And again, NBA titles 15 years apart, so a bit like Kareem in that regard. So you've got Adams taking the just putting points up, filling the score sheet corner. Daniel's taking the long-term excellence. LeBron, Duncan, Kareem. So me, I got the next two picks. I'm going to continue to take the one Laker, one Celtic corner. That's what I'm going to continue to do.
Here we go.
So with the 9th pick, I am taking the hick from French Lick, Larry Joe Bird. One of the all-time great players. I think career 24, 10, and 7 guy. Another one who just consistently made his teammates better. And again, with my fourth pick, which is the 10th pick overall. And, we've been meaning to have this out for some time. I'm going to take the man who I believe is the greatest shooting guard in Los Angeles Lakers history, the logo, Jerry West. And also one of the great GMs of all time.
I believe yours is a 4th round pick and mine is a 2nd round pick.
Yeah. It's sort of like when the Swans took Nick Fosdyke with pick 4 and we took Lenny Hayes from pick 13, despite the fact he was from Sydney. Thanks.
Yeah, what pick was Kawhi again? I'm just going to be quiet about where people are drafted.
I'm bummed they've stopped doing the redraftables on the Book of Basketball podcast.
Oh, I reckon they'll start it up again. If the season doesn't recommence for another month, they've got plenty of content to make. So,
no, I feel like a bit how you've described with your team, Adam. You've gone for scoring. With Russell at the center position, I've got to surround him with guys who can shoot the ball.
Yep.
And Jerry West would have probably averaged 3 or 4 more points a game for his career if there had been a 3-point line. Larry Bird was probably the first player to embrace the dagger 3. As in, we're gonna break this game wide open. Xavier McDaniel, his run. I'm gonna just run to the spot and hit 3 right in your face, and then he hits it, and the game's broken open. So that's sort of my mentality with the picks. In all seriousness, is Russell, not a great scorer. I've got to surround him with guys who will score, and Magic will certainly get them the ball in the right spots.
Well, I guess one of the other amazing things about Russell was that his rebounds were passes so much of the time, and his blocks were passes so much of the time. And if you've got those sorts of shooters around him, maybe he's getting 10 assists a game.
Well, I mean, Bill Russell had averaged like 4.5 assists a game at a time where it was harder to get them. So.
Anyway,
on
to Dan's pick, I think.
On to Dan's pick 11. You are on the board, Daniel.
Okay. I think it could be nice to have a bit more versatility and a bit more scoring punch. I'm going to go with Mr. Triple Double, the Big O, Oscar Robertson.
Oh, I thought you were about to say Russell Westbrook. The man that did it first, the Big O.
Is there any truth to the rumor that Oscar the Grouch is named after Oscar Robertson?
I wouldn't.
I want it to be true. Does that count?
Yes, it totally does.
A man described by Kareem when asked who he considered to be amongst the greatest of all time. He mentioned Russell, Wilt, and Oscar Robertson when specifically asked about an active MJ. Now, I think we can put some of that down to grumpy old player, but he was just such an impressive player. Scored a lot more points than when I was looking into this for my draft board. Scored a lot more points than I realized, actually. I kind of thought he was much more of a pass-first sort of guy, but no, he was a very active scorer. He was like 25 points a game or something for his career.
Yeah.
Couldn't go past him. Plus, helped me cover the kind of 1960, 1970 kind of decades. So
those rules requirements did vary people's picks. I think have influenced to a little extent.
Well, I hope so. We didn't want any era to get favoured too much, or we want an era.
If I can't fit Alex Caruso into my team because I had to pick some bloke from the 60s, this is I don't know.
What, like Sam Jones or someone like that? Alex Caruso will fit in your team. Will fit in the overhead.
In the luggage. Oh, you're a funny guy.
I think Oscar is the first guy we've got to who's really sort of been forgotten by time. As in, he's the first guy who was like, I feel like because Jerry West's the logo and he's been a GM, and I think he is a GM at the moment. He's the Clipper GM, isn't he? he's been kept sort of in the front of people's minds, but Oscar's sort of been forgotten. Other than this, there was this season. It was the same season Wilt scored 50. He averaged a triple double, but Oscar was an incredible basketball player. Probably the first absolute true perfectionist as a basketball player. He was exceptional in that regard, and as such, perhaps not the easiest guy to play with. But
that Milwaukee team, though, him and Kareem as was.
And some other guys on that team too. I think they were just Gus Johnson. I think might have been on that team, or so. I mean, they won 2 titles. They won in 71 and 74. So, it was an odd time, but certainly the cream of the NBA was still there. There was around the time the Lakers winning 33 straight. The Knicks won a couple of titles. The Celtics weren't terrible either. So, there might have been one title for the Bucks in 71. I think they might have lost in the finals to the Celtics in 74. But Oscar Robertson's sort of forgotten a little by time.
Oh, look, I think that's a product of recency bias as well. When you talk about people remember players that they are watching. And this is why a lot of 90s players we remember. And obviously we know current day players, but we do. We remember the Jordans and the Pippins and the Alonzo Mournings and Anthony Hardaway. I'm starting to think Combo's an NBA Jam. Is it my turn yet?
Yes, it is. With your next 2 picks in NBA Jam.
Speaking of combos, I think I may have made a point guard panic pick, I'll call it. But I have locked in. I'm going to go with the scoring thing again. So with my 4th pick, I'm picking the mailman, Karl Malone. So currently I have 3 of the top 5 scorers of all time. Is that right? Or have I got of the top 6? Where's Malone?
All time? Malone is second.
Second. Jordan is no. 4th.
Is Jordan? Yeah, I think you've got
Kobe.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. No, we're good.
Yeah.
We're good. I'll take the mailman, Karl Malone. But as a partner in crime, probably should have picked a different partner in crime, but I've locked in John Stockton.
Doc!
Complimentary piece to Karl Malone. What I would say is a big factor behind his success. And I think John Stockton was really underrated as a pass first point guard. Simple as that. He just
Stockton averaged 14 and a half assists one season. A game. 14 and a half!
I've got 3 of the all-time greatest scorers in history, and the only player to have scored 100 points in a game. I have John Stockton to feed those players. That is my justification behind that. Simple as that.
The other thing about Stockton, actually, is that when you see players like contemporaries of his that played him talk about him, they have a lot of respect for him, a lot. Like with The Last Dance and other things, there's been talk about the Dream Team. Obviously, Stockton was on that. But I remember even like a rookie Allen Iverson being asked about the players that he was most impressed by and found most difficult. And the 2 he named were MJ for obvious reasons and Stockton because he would just throw passes past you and there was nothing you could do about it.
Yep. He's definitely one of my top point guards of all time.
No, good pick. And
given that Magic's off the board, I had to pick somebody.
When we were growing up, the surest 2 points from one player was Michael Jordan. The surest 2 points from one player passing to another player was Stockton Malone. That was just, whether it was on a break or whether it was, Malone to the low post, Malone to the high post, they played with a ruthless efficiency that, I think in the last 20 years has sort of been downplayed as being, not particularly good to watch, especially considering, it wasn't like one of those Knicks Heat scrums.
Yeah.
But they did run an offense within an inch of its life, really. But they got through to 2 NBA finals, and the West that was about the time the West started getting loaded. sort of like the mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
They got through, a Houston team which had a large one, Barkley and Drexler. They got through the Kemp, Peyton Sonics. I think in one of those years, 97, 98. I think they went through the Spurs in Duncan's rookie year. They had, of course, David Robinson and Sean Elliott and Avery Johnson that time. So, no, I mean, I think, I'm a huge Stockton fan.
It's gonna round out. It's going to round out an interesting starting five, and that is my starting five locked in. Kobe will be starting at the 3, so that he and Jordan can take the floor together.
Cool, and you got Malone and Will.
I'll just observe that Adams so far maintained a streak of not going 2 picks in a row without picking a Laker. Lots of Lakers up this top.
Oh, yes. Karl Malone.
Everyone
almost got his title with the Lakers. Almost.
So, Daniel, you are on the board for pick 14 to round out your starting 5.
So, speaking of the dream team, as I was cunningly a little bit earlier, I guess the most controversial omission was my pick, Isaiah Thomas, Zeke, not IT, of the baddest of the bad boy Pistons.
The baddest of the bad boys, indeed.
Now, you're not getting Isaiah Thomas isn't your GM. He's not running your team.
Sorry,
he's not going to be your GM. He's
no,
just going to play basketball. He's not going to announce or.
Well, it actually apparently, with the recently renewed interest in kind of the bad boy Pistons era, apparently the current player who has the same name or almost the same name because there's a spelling difference, IT, has actually been getting hate mail for Zeke. So he's like, correct people on Twitter. It's like, how old do you think I am? I did not play for the Pistons in the 80s and 90s. But I guess the thing about Zeke.
Now go on.
Yeah. I think he's often rightfully described as one of the 2 best pure point guards of all time. And generally, it's him and Stockton that are talked about. Magic was something else. But in terms of your small players, your classic point guards, who were real leaders on championship teams, it's very hard to go past Zeke. He was clutch. He was tough. Not everyone liked him, but he knew how to win, and he could score from anywhere.
I think you left out a couple of words from that saying he knew how to win dirty.
He knew how to win dirty. Yeah. Absolutely. And actually, one thing that's been really interesting is seeing, I guess, because of this renewed interest, seeing a lot of the kind of talking heads talking about him, like, Jalen Rose, massive Zeke fan,
huge Pistons fan,
loves point guards, from Michigan representing, particularly during this time when a lot of people are sending a lot of hate towards Zeke because of the doc, which of course has also renewed interest in this idea that he was frozen out of the original Dream Team, and that was the reason he wasn't on the team.
It wasn't just he wasn't one of the best players in the world, just wasn't good enough. It was great, was up there, but maybe wasn't the best.
You've got to build a team, so
it's kind of funny.
Guys, they already had it.
Well, I don't think anyone on the Dream Team was going to pick Isaiah Thomas as the glue guy that they needed.
That's actually kind of what seems to be coming out. In skills, he was certainly, in the echelon. I mean, you could also argue that Shaq should have been on the team instead of Laettner too, right? the thing was, everyone has kind of had this idea that MJ was the one who stopped Zeke from being on the Dream Team. But one thing that's come out as they've interviewed more and more players, it's like, well, who wanted him on the team? It wasn't Magic at the time. They'd fallen out. It wasn't Bird. It wasn't Pippen.
So maybe it was just one person didn't want him, so nobody actually put their hand up and defended for it. Yeah.
I think in the preceding season, in one of the Pistons-Utah games, Thomas had really fouled Stockton hard. When they played the return game, Malone whipped an elbow into Thomas's head and opened up like a 20-centimeter gash on his forehead as Thomas drove to the lane. So I think Carmelo and John Stockton were probably also on that list of, no, we don't want to play with that guy. So
the mailman delivered some pain.
Oh, he delivered.
So I guess really the one thing I might worry about in picking Zeke is chemistry. We'll see. I think he and Oscar Robertson might or might not get along at all.
So they'll either get along really well or really, really badly.
Really, really, really well or really, really badly.
Yeah. On the other hand, great versatility with that backcourt because they could both sort of. I know Isaiah's small, but at least from an offensive sense, they can both play on the ball and off the ball.
Mm.
Well, and Big O, 6'5", he can easily slide to the two if he needs to.
Yeah. No worries. Well, that's everyone's starting five finished except mine. And I'm going to finish it with the guy who I think is the best scorer of his generation, the most versatile scorer of his generation, and that is Kevin Durant.
Ooh.
Interesting pick, range, very early for...
And I think would fit in exceptionally well with this team in terms of knowing his role and, again, spreading the floor around Russell. Magic wasn't a great three-point shooter. With Bird, West, and Durant, I've got plenty of three-point shooting in that lineup.
Mm.
And then, so that's with my fifth pick, which is pick 15. My next pick is the guy's going to bring it all together off the bench and unleash holy hell on my competitors defensively, and that is the greatest second banana of all time, Scottie Pippen.
Knew he wasn't going to come back.
So Pippen's my sixth man. He comes, Durant and Bird can both play in the 4 position. Pippen can slide down, or you can take West off, slide Pippen to the 2. But if you've got a defensive problem with a wing or a guard, I just bring Pippen on and shut that down like you shut down Mark Jackson in the 98 playoffs.
So can I pose a hypothetical here? Dan, if John Stockton was still on the board, would you have taken him over Isaiah?
That's a hard one, actually. Probably, yeah.
Because I'm regretting not taking Pippen.
Yeah, because
I wanted to pair up something. I've got Karl Malone and John Stockton, but I think having Pippen and Jordan would have been probably the better 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Actually, that is probably a better 1-2 punch, but.
I probably would have. I mean, the other thing about Stockton, aside from being kind of an ultimate team guy, is chemistry-wise, he's not going to get in the way. I mean, the Dream Team, Chuck Daly was the coach. Zeke's coach was the Dream Team coach, and he didn't pick him.
Yeah.
The word is because actually the Pistons guard he wanted was Dumas for his defense, and he just couldn't justify it. Picking him over Zeke, so I didn't pick either of them. I probably would have given that.
Okay. So I'd still have a bit of buyer's remorse. No offense to John Stockton.
I actually think Zeke
is offended.
Yeah, I mean, because I actually think Zeke is a stronger individual talent, but when I'm thinking about chemistry, I'm thinking about chemistry, which actually stopped me. There are a couple of other guys I didn't pick because of chemistry reasons as well.
Mm.
So
I think I'm already going to have chemistry issues.
Yeah. I think that's going to be an interesting conversation once we finish this draft.
Yeah, very much so. Oh, well. Thanks for picking Scotty, Punter.
You're welcome. I I'm going to run Russell and Pippen, on the defense on the floor at the same time. It's like nobody's going to score against those two guys, and just in an absolute perfect world moment, I'd also throw like 82 Magic out there, like early Magic when the Lakers used to play that 1-3-1 zone, and Magic would be sort of in the middle, playing free safety, all that length, and Durant, no defensive slouch either.
This is true.
Bird's the weak link in that five, and or West, and they weren't terrible defensive players.
No, they weren't slouches.
So, anyway, pick 17 is Daniels, his sixth man.
Well, I think I've got to go with Hakeem, the dream.
Hakeem and Kareem. All right, that's that's a lot of dream.
It's a lot of dream. But again, just such a strong two-way player from that center position. Good range, amazing footwork, great defender, and it was a real dog in those two Rockets championships. Was just a very, very impressive. Gotta love me some Hakeem. I choose not to remember the Toronto years right at the end.
Oh, I did not talk about the Wizards years when I picked Jordan at number 1. That's for sure.
Although they were sneaky better than most people remember.
I'm also not choosing a Wizards build of Michael Jordan from 2K. That's for sure. Yeah. But I don't know. There might be a Toronto build of Hakeem if you really want me to look for it.
No.
Over those two championships that the Rockets won, 94, 95, he went through Ewing, David Robinson, and Shaq over those 2 years. That's just, that's the way to do it. Just the way to tick the boxes off the list. I've eviscerated every one of my rivals. There's no greater non-MJ smackdown than Hakeem's taking down David Robinson in the Western Conference Finals in 95. Particularly after Game 2 where they gave Robinson the MVP. And Elijah was just like, okay, well, you enjoy that trophy. I am now going to end you. I don't think Robinson was really ever the same player after that series.
Sorry for my silence. I'm just doing a grammar check.
Yeah. I agree, actually. Although one thing I always thought about Robinson that sort of differentiated him, he was a supreme talent. He was a really, really talented, athletic, strong player. But I guess I always wondered whether he had that the dog in him. He didn't win until he got Timmy, and he had some really amazing kind of individual performances. But he needed that. He needed that help. Hakeem was a killer, though.
Oh, I don't know about the help factor. How many championships does Jordan win without Pippen?
Well, there is that.
I think everybody needs their partner in crime or that complementary piece.
At least.
But you're right. You can't just be a star athlete and just win a championship. And he sort of came into his own when Timmy came along. But Hakeem, I don't know, there's a bit of a rotation of stars and whatnot around him. And it was an interesting time. It was definitely a center's paradise.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. The 94 team was Kenny Smith, Vernon Maxwell, Robert Ory, Otis Thorpe, and Hakeem with Sam Cassell, Mario Ellie.
Sam Cassell was underrated, by the way.
Carl Herrera, I was like rookie Cassell, and Carl Herrera off the bench. The Knicks had a better team, top to bottom.
Mm-hmm. I remember watching that series, and because of the way TV worked back then, I had to be home on time to be able to watch it on ESPN. It was no replay. It was like we were lucky to get the game. Those finals. Anyway, that's a trip down memory lane.
It was. Daniel, you've taken Kareem and Hakeem now, so you can't take another centre. Every other centre is unavailable to you unless you can justify them being a 4.
Draft them as a 4, yeah.
Okay, Adam, pick 18 and 19.
I did say I was doing a bit of a spell check, if you would call it. So I'm not gonna. I have actually Googled the proper spelling. There's a couple of letters I wasn't sure about, but with my pick, my sixth man is the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Wow, what an athletic backup for the mailman.
I mean, he's young for an all-time team, but everyone can see he's headed there. Like, it's...
He hasn't even reached his ceiling yet, and he's already... No, yeah, exactly. Yep.
Well, actually, the thing Andrew was saying before about how, a lot of these greats had kind of come in with identified room for improvement, shall we say.
Yep.
I mean, but who's improved more than Giannis so far? I mean... look at his, 1 to 2, season 1 to 2, season 2 to 3 improvement, and now he can shoot from outside a bit.
There were arguments, there have been arguments, when he's been in MVP discussions. Obviously, there's the MVP he won. But what about when he's in the race for MVP, but also due to the improvement he's shown, he actually has a strong case to put his hat in the ring for most improved. It's that much. Like, he just goes from strength to strength every season.
Mm.
Like, being one of those, top 5 guys in the league and still not having hit his ceiling yet, so to speak.
I mean, this year he's averaging 30 and 14 in, 30 minutes a game. I mean, it's statistically one of the great NBA seasons of the last 50 years.
He probably would have played more minutes if they realized the season was going to get shut down for, 3 months. Anyway...
back down. We spent the last 6 hours going through the draft and not thinking about all the things that are awful happening at the moment.
No, look.
Yeah, thanks, Adam.
That's okay. Virtual Giannis is here to alert all these oldies that there is an argument to be made for current young players to be in this all-time discussion.
I mean, and he's showing new things in his game, has been showing new things in his game this current season.
He just continues to work. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, one thing I like about Giannis, and I think it probably reflects the era when I started following the NBA, really. He's got a bit of the old school, I'm your opponent, not your friend kind of attitude, which is it's more unusual, like everyone else is their friends with each other and stuff like that, which is lovely.
Which it's also interesting. He's not really a big partaker in the social media branding side of things either, which is.
I love that comment from you, Dan. 3-time winner of Swamp Rat's hardest foul. So.
But see, I remember the way that all came about was the first time I ever fouled someone in a game. The guy hit the shot, and Andrew said, "You're supposed to stop them from hitting the shot." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't hurt him, but I thought I kind of interpreted it to mean that if you foul someone and they're shooting, they probably shouldn't be getting up.
You have to hit them hard enough so they don't make the shot. Okay.
Yeah, but 2 of those award-winning fouls were on me, so.
Well, that's what you get for giving bad advice, hey?
You've created a monster, yeah.
You don't win 2 field goal titles if you shoot anything but layups.
True.
Ask Mark West.
Also, I guess.
Pick 19.
I'll finish on Giannis. I have to admit, there was a point there in the last few years where he actually could have made a solid argument for most improved player whilst also being in the MVP race. Like, this is a guy that no matter how good he is through the season and where he is up in that upper echelon of the NBA, keeps putting work into his game. There's only a couple of players like that in the league, and I think Giannis really sets the benchmark nowadays. Let's keep it with modern players because my 7th pick, I am going to stick with a relatively modern player. Say relative because the 3 ball's not something that a lot of the players in the 60s, 70s, 50s, even 80s really, it wasn't a huge factor. But I'm taking the greatest 3-point shooter of all time, Stephen Curry.
Good pick.
Yeah.
I don't know how your oldies like Jerry West are going to defend against someone that can shoot the ball from 50 feet with consistency.
I'm going to bring Dave Cowens off the bench, and he's just going to run Curry into the 5th row and then scream at the ref saying, "Now that's a foul!"
But yes, I think one of the greatest shooters, long-distance shooters of all time is going to be very complimentary coming off the bench. There's such a lot of firepower already. I think I'm just sort of adding to that.
One of the great teammates.
That theme.
Beloved by his teammates.
Can imagine him, Jordan, and Kobe. Actually, no, I can't imagine Kobe socializing like that.
I can imagine Jordan keeping Curry up to like 3 a.m. until Jordan beat him at horse while Curry was just shooting half-court shots. I can remember when he was just making the leap, describing Curry to Daniel, who hadn't seen a lot of him at that stage, as he had Reggie Miller's work ethic off the ball, Mark Price's stroke, and some of Isaiah Thomas's killer instinct. And you put all that together and you get one of the great guards of all time.
Yep.
He consistently, I think he didn't last season. I think Lillard pipped him last season, but for several seasons in a row, like he's been leading the league in mileage per game, like the amount of ground he covers.
Yeah.
Because he works so hard off the ball.
I always have huge respect for guys who work off the ball like that to get open.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's it. It's not all about the touches you're getting. It's about being in the right spot for your teammates. And Curry knows this under the tuition of one Steve Kerr.
Actually, Scottie Pippen was asked about how he'd draw up a kind of a defensive strategy to take Curry. And what he said was pick him up in the parking lot and don't leave him.
Sound advice there from Scotty. Well, they're my young up and comer all timers picked. Let's go on to Dan for the next pick.
Yeah, so I've got to admit, we were talking about the young current guys in an all-time list. Now, I'll admit I'm kicking myself a bit because I had a bit of a blind spot for them when I was drawing up my list. Curry would have been great. But I guess one of the next best things I've picked a guy who just retired, many times, had a farewell tour quite recently, and
copycat.
Yep, and one of I won't argue that he's the best or even the second best, but one of the best shooting guards of all time, in my opinion, Dwayne Wade.
Ooh. Bit of a curveball pick.
Wade.
I think his peak, to be honest, wasn't as long as, so again, breaking my trend, right? I think his peak probably wasn't as long as some of these other guys, but if you look at how he did then, I mean, he's one of the best shot-blocking guards ever. In his prime years in Miami, he was an amazing two-way player with this just relentless attack at the rim. Now, you've got a couple of players who have that down pat, but I didn't. So I thought I really wanted to have a guard, particularly one I already know can play with LeBron.
That's true.
Yeah. I wanted a guard who could really kind of attack the ring and defend. So yeah.
Well, I think chemistry is important. So you're definitely bang on.
And it's also good to have a guy on the bench. In terms of if he's your first guard off the bench, he can play either guard position.
Yeah.
And Wade can play one at a pinch. So
absolutely.
Cool. Having said that, I'm going to do something entirely different. Adam,
Yes,
can
sir.
you tell me how long it's been since I picked a Laker?
You're going to do this again, aren't you?
It was been over 10 picks. I'm not just going to pick one Laker. I'm going to pick two Lakers, although one of them is not synonymous with the LA Lakers.
If you're going to call one a Laker, if you're going to call one of those a Laker, I'm going to find a Laker version of them to put into the simulation.
Okay, so he's not a Laker. No. My pick with the 21st pick is Orlando Magic phenom Shaquille O'Neal.
I think Orlando's only a 96 overall.
This is a better way to put it. This is the way I should have put it. I'm picking two Suns. They both played for Phoenix.
I'm putting Phoenix Shaq in now. Phoenix Shaq is in. You sure you don't want Boston Shaq?
I don't want Boston Ron. I'm picking Shaq because I need a center who's pretty much gives me everything that Russell doesn't. So, I'm not being critical.
What about Robert Sacre?
You wanted me to pick a Laker. I've got that song in my head. Shaq, a very good defensive player in his pomp, but just an absolute beast down low, automatic 2 points. I started watching the 98 All-Star game, which is, of course, the one where Kobe started, and MJ's last All-Star game, if you treat his Wizards spell like you treat Indiana Jones and the Kingdom. The one that didn't happen.
Don't even speak his name. Yeah.
Shaq opens up with like a turnaround 20-footer in Dikembe Mutombo's face. So I feel like, especially seeing the video that came out this week of Shaq draining threes and calling himself Steph, maybe he could have developed that range later in his career. It would have been infinitely more hilarious to see him miss free throws after going 3 from 7 from outside the 3-point line. Shaq is the most undeniable physical beast I've ever seen play live. Just incredible.
He's
I probably watched every minute of the 2000 NBA Finals and every minute of the 2001 NBA Finals, and was just, if the ball went down, it was just like, okay, he's dunking this one, it's going to be a layup, it's going to be 2 points, and he was something like 30 and 17 through those two NBA Finals, which is incredible. My other pick, and finally a proper Phoenix pick,
Dan Marley.
Probably the guy in terms of the history of the NBA who I wished I was, and that is
Charles. What?
Steve Nash. Everything about his game. The only thing I don't like about him is the fact he's a Tottenham fan.
Dallas Mavericks superstar Steve Nash. And
LA
Laker.
LA Laker documentary maker Steve Nash. Another one, filled holes in his game and became this clutch killer later in his career after being almost purely a facilitator early in his career. But just thinking about those mid 2000s Suns teams and how they never won a title, I'm not in my happy place. Those were great, and there were opportunities to win titles, and things just conspired. Two ones in particular. One that you'll enjoy, which was Ron Artest's 3 in 2010, where it was like that. The 2010 Suns team was probably the 6th best Suns team of that decade, and washed up Robert Horry running Nash into the bench and getting Stoudemire suspended.
I loved washed up versions of players.
That Suns team sweeps LeBron's Cavs in 2000.
They've got nothing to lose. Yeah.
So, but Nash, incredible point guard, prototypical, everything you wanted offensively from a point guard. Which is probably a bit of a
thank you. Can I because I can't use like vulgar language, I'll just say thank you rather than the different word I wanted to put instead of the thank. You just consecutively picked 2 players off my draft board. Yet again. Well, you didn't take 2 last time. You only took Scotty. And then you went Magic. And just stop it. Please.
You also wanted Larry Bird.
No, I didn't.
Would you take him now if he was on the board?
Yeah. I still don't want him. He might get 0 minutes. The chemistry issues in the locker room when the GM is basically saying, I didn't want you, but you're on the board, so I picked you. And go and play basketball.
Hey, just remember, in that is a McDonald's ad. Magic drives to Indiana to play him for that Big Mac, not the other way around. Larry Bird doesn't drive to. What am I doing? Why am I arguing about Larry or Magic? I have both of them on my team.
I can't complain. I got Kobe and MJ.
I'm romping to the 1987 NBA title. Yes. Anyway, it's Daniel's pick.
It is.
Pick 23.
Yeah, so I was kind of tossing up. I wasn't sure whether there was a chance this one might still be around a little later, but I just really like him. I'm going to go with Elgin Baylor, the player.
Sorry, what team did Elgin play for?
You got it.
Is that another Laker? Maybe we should have another stat up on this board.
Well, Daniel, I've got Jerry West, and Daniel's got Isaiah Thomas and Elgin Baylor, so I think I'm beating him in the GM title state.
I'm definitely losing the GM side of things, I think.
How about Larry Bird, Indiana GM?
Mine. I've got Jordan. I'm just a really bad owner.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But also
I can't wait till the Last Dance 2, which is going to be like the 2 Washington seasons and then golf course MJ and front office MJ.
Get out.
I can do visual gags. This is excellent.
Oh no. So Elgin Baylor, thought process aside from filling a decade bracket.
So I mean, I won't say that wasn't a factor. I always had him in mind for that kind of period. I wasn't sure whether I might have been able to take him a little later on.
Yep.
Nice to have a little extra kind of acrobatic scoring punch. He was very strong at his size as well, which is going to be helpful on these teams, I think. Yeah, I guess I just really, really like him at the position. Never met a shot he couldn't make and all that. Tough. But brings a little extra toughness as well. Despite being a little kind of short for it, actually played both forward positions in his day, although I guess the competition was a little shorter back then. But he's actually long been one of my old school favorite players. Love his work.
And
I love the fact that his jersey's hanging up in Staples.
There are a lot of jerseys hanging up in Staples.
There are a lot. No Clipper jerseys in Staples.
Not yet. So there was
they made room because they don't have division titles.
There was a season where Elgin did reserve duty in the military in Washington State and would finish work at Friday lunchtime, get on a plane, play the Lakers weekend games, and get back to his camp, his barracks, before start of work on Monday morning. He played 48 of the possible 82 games and averaged a 28-14.
Held the playoff scoring record until Michael Jordan broke it, didn't he?
Yeah, the 63 points that MJ scored against the Celtics in 86 took to overtime, broke Elgin Baylor's playoff game record. So
far out.
Which Giannis might break.
Yeah, very, very, yeah.
An NBA playoff game first round if he goes up against the Orlando Magic or something.
True that.
If they actually play more than 25 minutes because, it'll be 40-point lead at halftime.
You have a valid point. All right.
No, kudos for the Elgin Baylor pick. And Adam, when you're doing the simulation, if you could get Elgin to play in one of those jumpers he used to wear to the draft lottery in the late 80s, like from the Daryl Summers collection, that'd be excellent.
No. One of those lovely sweaters.
Yeah, knitted sweaters, like it was done by Jenny Key or
like one of those Christmas present ones.
Yeah.
Oh, really bad one. All right. So before
You're
I go
on the clock, Adam.
Before I go and make my pick, a bit of a spoiler alert, just so it's everybody watching the video. I can now lock in my center as the 12th pick. Everybody else has picked 2 centers.
Oh.
Okay, so every other center, unless it's justifiable at the 4 spot.
Jack's going to play point guard.
Sorry, what was that?
Jack's going to play point guard. Look at that 3-point range that I discussed.
I don't think so, Tim. All right, so with my 8th spot, I am going with Dr. J, Julius Erving.
Julius.
What a marvelous, marvelous afro. That's all I could really say. I needed I needed to fill a spot in the 70s, and that was probably one of the better ones to pick, to be honest, without picking any Celtics.
So you're not going to... Yeah, fair enough. That's my favourite dunk of all time. And it was on the Lakers, on Michael Cooper. Rocked the baby to sleep.
Yes.
Slam dunk. He went about half the court in 2 steps.
Yeah.
He taught James Harden everything he knows. But that is just... I love the way Irving dunked. Just... It was beauty. And the underneath the ring layup and all that sort of stuff. I mean, he was a tremendous player. I think the thing about Dr. J is maybe a lot of people didn't see the best of him because a lot of his best play would have been in his ABA days. So
yeah, that's a very valid point. Like it's not as and because he played so long ago as well that a lot of get back to recency stuff like the late 80s we still talk about, like our group does. But then it goes all to 90s and 2000s and onwards. So the 70s are really overlooked.
Irving predates that. He retired in 87. So it's just sort of like before.
Yeah, it's like early to mid 80s, I think, is the cutoff.
Mm.
Those players that played in the late 80s into the early 90s are on the radar versus sort of just dropping off before we came up and in.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people say the modern NBA started when Magic and Bird arrived. I feel like it's the culmination of the 84 draft, MJ arriving, and then Bird playing Magic in the NBA Finals for the first time. That's when the modern NBA started. And Irving won his title just before that.
And I think that's sort of like the first wave. That is the first wave of the modern era. And I think the second wave of that, which is... It's that 91 title when Jordan started winning. Do you know what I mean? Like Jordan winning titles started a new era, and that was the Jordan era.
The other take I've encountered, which is sort of similar but not quite the same, was that Larry and Magic saved the NBA. In terms of, public image and public interest and all that sort of stuff. And then the phenomenon that was MJ was what raised it into the stratosphere, like raised it into that other level, Because I guess one thing about MJ was just, obviously it came from being a great basketball player, but he was such a big crossover star. He was one of the most famous people in the world, not just one of the biggest profile basketball players.
Yeah, he was a brand. He wasn't a player. Yeah, he started that, I suppose. Yeah. The ball rolling on really monetizing a player as a brand.
Yeah.
How did we get onto MJ from Julius? Anyway, I've got another pick, haven't I?
Yeah, that's enough of us waxing lyrical about Julius Erving, and we talked about anything but.
We're sort of
Yes, you have
illustrating.
another pick.
All right, so
Pick.
I've got another pick. Can you?
Yeah.
It's impression time now, Andrew. Can you give me your best bad laugh? So with my ninth pick, I'm going to go down and pick the one, the only. He's an enemy across town now, which is annoying, but it's Kawhi Leonard.
Boardman gets paid.
Boardman.
He would have got paid at the Lakers. I don't know why he had to do this to us.
So if we were doing current players this draft, if we were doing current players and you had picked one for this season to build a team, would it be Kawhi? Considering 5 current NBA players I think have been selected before it. At least 4.
Yeah, but we're also picking, with the all-time team, we're picking players at their peak, right? Or at the peak of their powers. So peak Steph. Well, expecting, yeah. Peak LeBron, I would still put over peak Kawhi. I put Kawhi into that category, though. I think he's...
It's peak Kawhi now, though.
We're at... I don't know if we're over the peak, and we don't know about his injury and his future and what he's going to be able to do with the Clippers. And I hope they crash and burn and don't win a title. But, I think Kawhi has... He single-handedly won Toronto a championship. Like, single-handedly said, I'm going to make the most of this vacation to Toronto. And it was a 1-year deal. I'm just going to go and win a title, and did it.
By the way, there's no way Kawhi and Paul George are opting out after 2 years now.
No, we'll see.
Because they'll be opting out for less money. So they're in the Clippers for
true.
3 years.
That's true.
Sorry, Daniel.
Yeah, I actually want to call back to the point Adam made before, because I think the way Toronto played for, what there has been of the 2019-20 season really does kind of suggest he had some help. I mean, I know some of their improvement is probably due to his influence, but I mean, Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet, like, basically from the birth of Fred VanVleet's son during the playoffs onward, I mean, he's a dangerous outside shooter. And, Siakam, who won Most Improved last season, was in the conversation for, he wasn't going to win it, but, he was in the conversation for MVP, particularly early in the season.
Early this year, he's been in MVP discussions in that 6th to 8th kind of spot.
And I think it's arguable how much of their improvement, because they were there before Kawhi, but I think it's arguable how much of their improvement is, because of him. But they're showing that they are a good team without him. Because, I mean,
I just don't think they're a great team without him. And that comes down to the Jordan Pippen thing, I think, again. You need those complementary pieces.
Exactly.
But without Kawhi being there to shoulder the load that he did in the playoffs last year, Toronto don't feature. And this year, I think, when the season finally recommences, Toronto have done well to be where they are, but without Kawhi there, I don't think they get over the hump.
Yeah, I don't think people are really thinking of them as coming out of the East, really.
Yep.
And that is a good point.
That's because Milwaukee's in the East.
Well, yeah.
And Philadelphia.
And Boston.
If they when they turn up, they're great. When they turn up and can work out how to play together, great.
Yeah. Agreed.
I'll make 2 points about Kawhi. What we're just talking about. One, I love how Toronto have defended their title this season. They're not the best team, but they've defended the title like, we've got the belt. You've got to come take it off us.
We're not just giving it up. I
think a point
agree.
I made in the previous podcast with you, Adam. And second of all, there's no team that this current break hurts more than the Clippers, because they were just rounding into shape. They had just started to flick the switch. It was like stretch run. Now we're going to get serious and make a run.
Yeah, but now Kawhi gets all his load management rest out of the way.
They're going to have to flick the switch back on again. So I think the current break is crap for everybody. but the Clippers were just rounding into shape, and that was bad for them because they were going to go on a run and start to scare a few teams. But anyway,
on to Dan. That was my two. I picked Dr. J and Kawhi.
Kawhi, a couple of wings.
Yep.
Over to Dan the man.
So I decided to pick my favorite player, Kevin
Alex
Garnett.
Caruso. What? Oh,
KG.
KG.
I've got to say, I always loved the fight he brought to every game, the defensive presence, the unselfishness. Loved him as a Celtic. Loved him in that MVP season as a T-Wolf. Got to say though, having seen him now as a media personality too, I really love that kind of the personality he shows. He's been giving some really good interviews this year. Andrew's been putting me onto some that I've initially missed.
I actually haven't seen him do a lot of interview work. Is he kind of like a Kendrick Perkins with the microphone? Just speaks his mind, or?
Yeah. No, he does. He does. But he's probably
sober when he does it. No,
he is. He's very colourful. When he's allowed to, he curses freely, and I love that about him.
Yeah.
But he loves telling stories about his playing days and that sort of stuff as well, which I just love. He's the reason I'm a long-suffering T-Wolves fan. Those years, I remember being really excited. When the T-Wolves looked like they had this, a pretty good front office, a decent coach, and they had Tom Gugliotta, Kevin Garnett, and Stephon Marbury. It looked like they were really going places. They did go places, just not the places I wanted. They went to they all went to other teams, and that was pretty disappointing. But KG, through it all, just always loved his game. He had a lot kind of going for him. One of the things I actually had kind of heard recently was that when he was a Celtic on those great Celtics teams, including the championship team, the only kind of knock the coach had was that he was too unselfish, and they wanted him to shoot more to spread things out a bit. Luckily, since we're drafting all-time teams, I've got other people to take shots for him as well. So, spreading the ball it hopefully would work out really well. The other thing I love about him as a defender in particular is that he was just so long, quick, and mobile, and a really fierce rebounder. So, love KG. Love KG.
I know he wasn't a great clutch scorer and shooter in his prime, but I sort of feel like of all the players of his generation, he's the ultimate I want that guy in the trench with me guy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just a great teammate, great guy to have on the bench of an all-time team. Absolutely.
Actually,
I'm picking next.
One of the things he said in an interview, actually, Ads, was that Kobe was this close to talking him into coming to join the Lakers when he left the T-Wolves.
Yeah, Kobe was a big time recruiter. He used to always get into people's ears, and some interesting potential team ups were on the cards.
Ooh.
That would have been interesting, I think.
Yeah.
Or it could have just been Shaq and Kobe all over again.
You won 3 titles. I would describe those as good times. It could be Shaq and Kobe all over again. Anyway, I'm gonna continue with my recent theme, which is unfulfilled son's potential, and considering Daniel just took his favorite player of all time, I've just been looking at my board going, please Please make it to pick 27, Garnett. Please make it to pick 27. I'm taking another one of the great power forwards of all time. I'm taking Sir Charles Barkley.
Not James Worthy.
Not James Worthy. No, not big game James. I might be done with taking Lakers. The most unstoppable force on a fast break ever in the history of the NBA ever. You did not get in front of this guy. This is a guy who was 6'5", played power forward, and shot 60% from the field one season, while averaging 26 or 27 points a game. He wasn't.
It was not to be
60%.
to be messed with.
No. The more I think about it, the more I think that 93 Suns team was probably the best, top to bottom team to play the Bulls in an NBA final series. Considering, there was really no one on that 91 Lakers team who was in their peak. They were either, pre-peak or post-peak. The 92 Blazers team had Kevin Duckworth and Buck Williams starting at the 4 and the 5. So, as much as I've got plenty of love for the Drexler Porter backcourt and Jerome Kersey, God rest his soul, they lacked a little something in the 4 5. As I mentioned, it would have been an interesting 92 series if they had managed to get Sabonis over by that stage. Who I'm not ruling out for one of my last picks. Barkley was just, that was an incredible season. He won the MVP, and obviously every season Jordan played at his peak, he was the most valuable player in reality. But, and then, as we've seen in that last dance doc, not to spoil it, but the Bulls beat the Suns in that finals.
Don't even have to watch this thing anymore. Is it?
Barkley threw the kitchen sink at MJ and the Bulls in Game 2. Hit something like
Please tell me that was
points.
Literal, like it was as they were walking out of the locker room. There was
the kitchen sink had already been thrown at Bill Laimbeer when he played for the Sixers. And it was just, what else can I do? I can't beat this guy. And the 95 Suns team, which lost to the Rockets with Mario Ellis 3 in front of the Suns bench, I'll just hit my head against the wall for a second, was probably a better Suns team.
Yeah.
The 93 Suns team was Marley's first year in the starting lineup. He had been behind Hornacek in the starting lineup before that stage. I could go on and on. So I'm taking Barkley, and with my 10th pick, I'm taking the all-time greatest cooler. This is the guy's coming on when we're up 8 with a minute to go, and you just, you pass the ball, he likes the free throws. The man who hit the greatest shot in NBA history, bar none. And that is Jesus Shuttlesworth himself, Ray Allen. There's a guy I want to be able to come off my bench and say, we need someone to ice this game. We know when to hit that corner 3. He's as my 10th man, and absolutely.
I thought you were going to call out Reggie Miller then.
No, I love Reggie, but,
Yep, no, Ray, yeah. Ray Allen.
Reggie never had the peak that Ray Allen had. Like, Seattle Ray Allen, when he was averaging 24, 25 points a game, 4 or 5 assists, rebounds, was the franchise guy. I love me some Reggie Miller, but Reggie Miller was never as good as Ray Allen was at his best.
No.
And Ray Allen has...
Miami Ray Allen was even...
2 NBA titles.
Yeah.
And Boston Ray Allen.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, the other thing about, again, thinking about, drafting...
Ray Allen.
Yeah.
He was good wherever he went.
Thinking about drafting for teams that are actually going to play, thinking about chemistry and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting, right? Because, like, after those Celtics, after Allen left those Celtics, there was that feud and everything. But, I mean, ultimately, not only was he a great shooter and, worked well, worked hard off the ball, serviceable defender, not great, but he showed a capacity to rise to the moment, but also to accept his role. Like he took a step back when he was in Boston. He and KG both kind of, let Paul Pierce be the man there. And for as long as it lasted, they were great. And then he went off and won championship with the Heat. So good pick.
It's funny. He's the 3rd guy we've selected from the '96 draft, which I think might end up being the most guys. I think 84, obviously, the greatest draft of all time. But the funny thing is, we've picked 3 guys from that 96 draft, and we haven't picked the guy who went number 1, who, had a more than serviceable NBA career. So, interesting. No one's picked Sharif Abdul-Rahim either, so...
Is he on anybody's draft board?
He can carry the towels if he likes.
Anyway, there's my 9th and 10th picks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think that puts me up.
Yep.
Okay, I'm actually really pleased he lasted this long. I'm going to pick. He might be eclipsed soon, but so far the reigning best European NBA player of all time, Dirk Nowitzki.
Dirk.
You're right. I think he's about to be dethroned.
I think Luka's going to beat him.
Luka will. Depend. I mean, we'll see what happens. He could get injured, touch what he doesn't.
Giannis is European. He's from Greece.
Yeah, but he's a freak. He doesn't count. No,
that is a very good.
But Dirk, yeah. Big Dirk.
Yeah. Big Dirk. Such an amazing player. Won the title. Played really well for a really long time. Kind of popularized. Didn't invent, but kind of popularized that stretch 4 that's now kind of the norm in the league. If you're a 4 or 5, you better be able to shoot. You better be able to shoot, or you're in trouble. Yeah, it's kind of funny, like you're seeing that whole thing with the eras and stuff like that. You're seeing players who are just really good at playing inside, getting rebounds, getting defense, really being undervalued. Like Drummond and Jordan. It's like putting up those sorts of numbers and playing those sorts of games in the 90s would have gotten them, long contracts. Now it's a lot harder for those sorts of guys. Dirk,
it's a lot of pace and space these days.
Yeah, pace and space. And the thing about it is being able to shoot at that height and release that high, like no one's going to block it. Like look at people try to defend Kevin Durant from outside. Like it's just nuts. So yeah.
I think Nowitzki is the owner of the second least blockable shot in NBA history after the Skyhook. Nowitzki's fadeaway jumper is just absolutely untouchable.
Yep, agreed.
And a surprisingly, just given how much time he spent out on and around the perimeter, a surprisingly good rebounder. In terms of actual kind of performance and stuff like that. So very pleased I was able to get him this low.
You snuck him in at pick 29. Pick 30 and 31 belong to Adam. All
right. Well, we all know that I'm not picking a center because I've already picked my center in my mind.
Fair enough.
So I've got 2 guard spots left. And I've still got a decade to fill.
Which is?
My book, I think it's the 60s. So I'm going to pick someone from the 90s with my 10th pick. All right. First pick, I am going to take the glove. I'm going to take a defensive point guard. There was a few other candidates. I was weighing up whether or not to take Kidd, but I think the glove, Gary Payton, is my pick because I need one of those sort of lockdown defensive-minded guards that's just going to get the job done and come off the bench and do a real bang-up defensive job. Simple as that. Give him a decisive opponent.
Trash talk on your team already.
Yeah. Trash talk's one thing, but
scrimmages with Jordan and Payton. This is you've got the chemistry thing just down pat.
Kobe, Jordan, and Payton will be best buddies.
Payton challenging Wilt to one-on-one games.
Well, I've picked just as much of a defensive-minded guard, but also a bit of offensive scoring power in Walt Frazier.
Oh,
with my second to last pick, and he's a 60s filled guard from New York.
Owner of another one of the great Game 7s of all time, 36-17 in Game 7 against the Los Angeles Lakers in the 1970s.
Isn't it amazing how many facts you know about times the Lakers have been beaten?
It happened a lot in the formative days of the NBA. They got to the finals and they lost.
Yes, Walt Fraser. Sort of rounds out my list. I've got sort of different lineups that I can throw out there. I've got a defensive lineup. I've got a big lineup, a small lineup, a super scoring lineup, range inside. I can vary the game to adapt to whatever's thrown at us. So
not a lot of scoring going against a 1-2-3 punch of Peyton, Jordan, Kawhi.
correct. Yeah, I really picked up the. Let's not forget that Kobe's also won multiple.
How many all
first
teams?
It was at least a handful. At least a handful of first teams.
Fair enough. To be fair, Jordan did win Defensive Player of the Year. So,
yes.
To be fair.
Yeah, in a year he won.
Everything about Jordan is fair.
Isn't Jordan's defense what makes it unfair?
So yes, Walt Frazier and Gary Payton to really round out our the defensive. I suppose Steph Curry's can be a bit of a defensive liability, so we've got another guard to throw in there if he shots off or if he's getting towed up on the defensive end.
He's actually not a bad team defender. I've actually noticed something that
he's not terrible. I would rate Clay as the better defender in that.
Clay's a much better defender.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of team defense.
Yeah.
Steph,
for sure.
He's got good feet and he's actually got really strong legs. He can hold position against much bigger guys.
I think it's more the one-to-one stuff. I mean, getting burnt by the likes of a Harden. Not that Harden's in this lineup. And wait, there's still a couple of guard spots on the table, so he might make an appearance. But I still think he needs to be able to hold himself in that 1v1 game.
Yeah.
Cool. On to you. I've got one more pick left, and I know who it is.
And no one can take him from him.
Correct. I picked this 5 rounds ago.
Excellent. Over to you, Daniel, with pick 32.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought I would go with another Celtic.
I better update the board as well.
Someone who won quite a few championships with Andrew's top pick, Hondo.
John Havlicek.
I believe he might still be the.
Did you say Rondo?
No.
Is that Los Angeles Lakers Rondo or Boston Rondo?
You mean primetime Rondo or Lakers?
You scamp. No.
Chicago
Rondo.
Bulls Rondo. Sorry.
How much of a tough guy do you have to be to get given John Wayne's nickname?
Oh boy. Sorry, don't mind me. I'm just updating everyone's player lists.
The all-time forgotten guy in the history of the NBA.
Yeah.
Havlicek's number one.
Who?
Well, he won. Yeah, he won most of those championships along with Bill Russell. Great scorer, great kind of all-round wing player. Helped me cover off kind of a couple of eras there, 60s to 70s. Really kind of consistent player. I've got pardon me, 131. I've actually got some advanced stats here. 131.7 win shares average. I'm actually very happy to have him. I mean, like a lot of the older guys, partly because I'm a more recent fan. I haven't seen a lot of him, but I've heard a lot. A lot of the good stories about those old days. I guess in line with that nickname, come from that. And then of course, the fact that we all like and listen to and read Bill Simmons, the biggest Boston Celtics homer of all time, loves telling stories about the old time Celtics. So happy to get a bit of Havlicek at this point.
Fair enough. Well, I get to pick. I'm the next two picks, and then my last two picks. I'm the first person to finish my team. Adam,
Yo.
do you think I have enough Celtics?
You're only doing it to try and balance out the amount of Lakers that have been picked.
Well, they are the two greatest teams in the history of the NBA.
Yes, and the all-time teams are showing that.
the Celtics and Lakers are the 1 and 2, and the Vancouver Grizzlies are last. So I need to pick a forward and a guard. My forwards at the moment on the bench are Pippen and Barkley. Pippen's more of a wing. Barkley's undersized, so I need probably a big power forward who could maybe play stretch 5. So I'm taking Kevin McHale from
Good pick.
80s Celtics, one of the greatest low post scorers of all time, and one of the greatest defenders of his era. Could defend almost any position. So if I'm going to run out that all defense lineup, it would be 82 Magic, Russell, Pippen, Durant, and McHale at the and that sort of lineup with Pippen sort of defending a guard. So
Yeah.
he gives me a lot of options, and then I needed an all-purpose guard, and I went for a guy who's probably a bit forgotten. I don't know if I'd be able to get this guy any playing time, but with my last pick, I'm taking Tracy McGrady.
T-Mac.
Tracy McGrady's also my guy, as he's the one guy. Everyone's got that one guy who plays in one of their favourite sports who was born on their birthday. So he's exactly 12 months younger than me. So
Nice.
he's 1 year older. So but one of the all-time, one of the great scorers, a guy who came in the NBA before his time, great 3-point shooter. I watched the clip the other week of his, 11 points in 14 seconds or whatever he did in that crazy comeback against the Spurs. Was the best player on a team that won 22 games in a row. Severely underrated. And, I think the NBA, ESPN's NBA 74 players at 74, today, I don't know if it had him on the list, and it had Vince Carter in the 50s. It's just like, no. McGrady was better than Carter.
Yeah, he was a lot better than Vince, yeah.
Yeah. And, when I talked about the 96 draft board, but we've also overlooked Iverson. I've overlooked Iverson. Adam has to pick a center, so maybe you're going to pick him. Yeah, with your bias.
Allen Iverson at center, did you say?
No, you can't pick him at center. That would be groundbreaking. But a lot of great shooting guards and guards over that time. But like Iverson, Arenas, who could have filled the spot, guys who are playing now. But I just thought, if you can score 30 points a game for over 2-3 season stretch, you can really fill it up. You're really a great player, and McGrady's sort of been a little bit forgotten for a guy who didn't play that long ago. So he's my 12th man. He's going to be chemistry, waving the towels guy, but if I get an injury to any of my guards, I can sort of plug him into the rotation and not miss a beat.
Yep. No, it's a solid pick. It's it's that 12th spot. You need that guy that's going to be able to do some stuff when push comes to shove and not sort of take the lion's share of the minutes, but do a role.
Yeah. He's really versatile. I remember when he was still in Toronto before, when he and Vince were both there, sort of looked like maybe he was going to be, a new, a Pippen-like player, right? Like a really good, versatile second banana. And then when he left and got out of there, and we just found out, no, actually this guy's he's a really good scorer. He just happens to be good at other stuff too. Good pick. I think actually, to be honest, if he was playing today, leave aside, rule changes and that sort of stuff, I think the medical tech, I think his career would have been a lot longer, and I think we've seen a lot more out of him. Steph Curry keeps getting brought up as an example of someone who, if he played in an early era, because of that issue he's had with his ankles, we would have missed a lot of his best, because that would have kept him out of the game an awful lot.
He also would have been defended by Bruce Bowen, which also is bad for your ankles. So,
but he played in an era, he was on the same team as Zaza, but so that doesn't matter. That's fine.
Tristan Thompson does it too.
Daniel, you're on the clock with your last pick. Pick 35.
Okay.
Lucky last.
Yeah, I thought a bit about this one. I guess in a similar kind of vein, I wanted to pick someone who could maybe help out a couple of different positions. Pretty versatile skill set. Do a bit of scoring, good outside shooter, good defender. I've gone with Chris Paul.
Ooh.
CP3.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Leading the league in clutch scoring this season.
Yeah, okay. I'm not, see, obviously the recency side, because he is a current player, I'm thinking of this season's Chris Paul or the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Vintage, prime Chris Paul is, very, very solid player. He almost got to play for a historic franchise, but the league didn't want that.
Yeah, Rockets have won a couple of titles.
I said
Thunder have a
historic.
title.
Not
I
franchises
think,
with
I
a
think this
couple.
season is one of his greatest achievements. I mean, I remember when we were doing our preview pod, I sort of had Oklahoma City a little higher than you, and I thought there's too many guys who are gamers on that team for them to roll over. They'll be frisky, but I didn't have them finishing
In the playoffs.
No, but like in a 4 or a 5 seed.
Yeah, true.
Finishing above the Rockets and the Jazz.
I thought they'd tank for extra draft picks.
I'm starting to think, it's really gotten to the point this season, at least, where with the Thunder, it's starting to seem like, Thunder come from behind to win is all one word. It's they've pulled out a lot of close ones, and that's this season. That's this version of CP3. So yeah, I do think looking down the line, I do have some.
Just to clarify on that before I load up the teams, you want me to pick this season's Chris Paul? You want me to load that player into the?
No.
Okay, just would like everybody to get their preferred version. Like Andrew's getting Boston Shaq. Sorry, Phoenix Shaq. Or Cleveland Shaq, which I can't remember which. We'll get one of those.
Mind you, that alley Chris Paul finished earlier this season.
Blue chip Shaq.
Blue chip Shaq. Only if you'd picked Penny.
All right, that's it. You're getting Kazan.
and he got game Ray Allen.
Oh, boy.
All of the movie.
Right, then I'm going for Instagram LeBron.
Oh, what have I started?
This is degenerated.
Well, my last pick, as soon as you picked Shaq,
it's Dwayne Shinsis.
He's actually been the player I picked in my final center position. So I did hold this pick back because I didn't need to rush it. There were no other centers to compete, like no other picks on a center. It was mentioned earlier that Tim Duncan was the piece that helped this man win a championship. So I have the Admiral, David Robinson.
A worthy selection, I would think, in the top 36 NBA players of all time.
Yep.
Not at all bad to round out that your all-time team. Very, very good.
He was one of the 4 or 5 first guys to be picked on the Dream Team. It was like, they wanted Jordan, they wanted Bird, they wanted Magic, and I think Robinson was picked pretty closely after.
Yeah. So that's pretty much
that's
12
it.
players each.
Okay. So I had to pick first, I had to pick last. Let's go through the videotape and see what we've got. So, Adam?
Yes.
Your team is...
That is going to be the ADS Los Angeles Lakers.
So you've got so your guys from, this is who I've got, your guys from the decades. So your 50s guy is Wilt, your 60s guy is Walt, your 70s guy is Dr. J, 80s is the GOAT Michael Jordan, 90s is Karl Malone, 2000s is the Mamba, and 2010s is Steph Curry.
I nominate Giannis.
You nominate Giannis from 2000.
He could be my 20s player that...
Who? Curry? He's never
Giannis.
played a game in the 20s.
Giannis has.
Guards, Jordan Stockton, Steph Curry, Gary Payton, Walt Frazier. Forwards, Kobe, Karl Malone, Giannis, Julius Erving, and Kawhi Leonard, and your centers Wilt Chamberlain and David Robinson. Happy with that, Adam?
Very happy. Very happy. The hindsight picks. Look, maybe I did rush on Stockton. Maybe I could have picked up Pippen instead of Malone. I didn't think Scotty'd go that high, but I shouldn't be surprised that he did. If that makes sense.
You're going to have the most devastating pick and roll, I think, in any of the three teams. So
it's going to be a very interesting lineup. I think we've got a lot of versatility and a lot of ability to spread the scoring load.
Fair enough. Daniel, your decades, guys, you've got from the 50s, Elgin Baylor, 60s, Oscar Robertson, from the 70s, Kareem, from the 80s, Isaiah Thomas, from the 90s, Hakeem, from the 2000s, Tim Duncan, from the 2010s, LeBron. And your team is your guards, Oscar Robertson, Isaiah Thomas, Dwayne Wade, John Havlicek at guard, and Chris Paul. And your forwards, LeBron James, Tim Duncan, Elgin Baylor, Kevin Garnett, and Dirk Nowitzki. And the centers, the two dreams, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yep, recycling those nicknames.
Yeah. One will give you the dream shake. So, and my team, my guys from the 50s, Bill Russell, from the 60s, Jerry West, very tenuously from the 70s, Larry Bird, from the 80s, Magic Johnson, from the 90s, Scottie Pippen, from the 2000s, Steve Nash, from the 2010s, Kevin Durant. And my guards, Magic, Jerry West, Steve Nash, Ray Allen, and Tracy McGrady. My forwards are Larry Bird, Kevin Durant, Scottie Pippen, Charles Barkley, and Kevin McHale. And my centers, Bill Russell and Shaquille O'Neal. So now we will go to the next stage, which is on my Facebook page. If you look up It Should Go Without Saying, you will be able to vote on which team you think is the best. And this is just a nice little exercise to see,
So everyone votes for this team down there on that Facebook page.
So it'll just be the
Notice I was pointing at my team.
Yeah.
So
it'll just be Adam's team, Daniel's team, Andrew's team. And
I'd be worried if your team gets voted highest. I want to recount because I reckon it's Kevin Durant with a bunch of burner accounts.
That's very funny, very satirical. So, and then what we're planning to do next weekend, which is the weekend of May the 23rd and 24th, is we're going to start seeing on NBA 2K20 which one of these teams is actually the best. And what we're going to do is a three-way best of 9. Each team is going to play each other 3 times, and Adam is going to broadcast those games, and I'll let him describe how.
Okay, so as I was saying at the start of the video, these games are going to be broadcast on Twitch. So my Twitch channel, which is ads7281. Then we'll be uploading the replays once they've been cleaned up a little bit to YouTube for those that missed the live broadcast. Through the live broadcast, we will have a few polls running in the chat while the games are being simulated. So yeah, I'd encourage everybody to tune in. So it's ads7281. We'll put the description in the show notes. And after so there'll be 3 games a week, I believe, Punter. That's what the schedule's going to be.
That is. And I will, of course, if I will be posting links on the Facebook page and on the much followed Twitter handle. For those of you who don't know that the podcast has as well as it is at Should Saying Pod.
At Should Saying Pod.
So we'll post those links there to the Twitch when it goes live.
The Twitch, the Twitter, and the Tube.
And the Tube, and then the YouTube video.
On the book face.
On the thank you. On the YouTube videos we'll post links to on the Facebook page too, and the Twitter handle.
Yeah.
So you can look, and we'll see through the poll and also through NBA 2K20 who's got the best team.
Yeah.
And because there's 9 games, they can't. Every team will play 6 games, so there can be a tie. So I'll be quiet.
Yes, well, there won't be. My team will just go 6-0. That's what Jordan does.
Yeah.
That's what Michael Jordan's renowned for.
Yeah, it'll be just like
6 games, 6 wins.
I
Done.
didn't know it was possible, but digital Kevin Durant has been found stabbed to death, and
No. So after being down 3-1, Kevin Durant all of a sudden ends up on my team.
that's funnier.
Seems like a fair trade. Kevin Durant and Scottie Pippen for Malone and Stockton.
We're at well past the 2-hour mark, gentlemen. So we've even gone past Adam and I's personal record for the Western Conference preview from last season. So
This one's a special one.
We might call it a day. Hopefully, there's enough content to get you through until at least till the NBA season starts again. But keep on looking on the Facebook page for more information about the content that's going to come out of this with the NBA 2K, and that will be that. So, thanks for joining us, Daniel.
No problem.
I hope you enjoyed it. We hope we'll see you back here for another.
Maybe we jump
NBA
on for a bit of a post, a debrief after the games. We'll have a bit of a chat then.
Yeah. Sounds good.
We can have a whinge and a complain about how the virtual players didn't play like we expected them to play. It's like a damn video game.
Virtual Charles just sat on the bench eating donuts and chicken wings. Yeah, and thank you, Adam, for your help and for co-hosting the pod, I guess, and the videos. It's going to be very exciting. Until next time, which will be very soon.
Yes.
Across all these different forms, I'm Andrew Lewis. This is the podcast It Should Go Without Saying. We will, and I can say this time, we will see you next time.
Yes. See you next time.
See ya.